Now the next step will be to create and configure a SharePoint WebPart page where we can use this spreadsheet that we were working with. In order to create the WebPart page, we are going to navigate to the SharePoint Share Documents library here where the file was saved. We are going to verify that the file is here, and we are going to click on Site Actions, and we are going to click on Create to open the Create page, and we are going to select WebPart page. And once we do that, we can select the options that we want, including the name, which I'm going to call DataLink Web Access AF for AF context. And I'm going to select a layout which is already selected in here, header left column body, yes. And then at last a document library. Make sure that we select Share Documents, we click OK, and our WebPart page has been created. Now here in the body section, I'm going to click on Add a WebPart page, and what I'm going to add here is the Excel Web Access right here. This is a Microsoft WebPart which I'm going to add, and I am going to configure by clicking on Edit, Modify, Share WebPart. And now I will click on this ellipsis button right next to the workbook field, and I'm going to navigate to my Share Documents library and select the file, the spreadsheet that I uploaded. I double click on that, and that's been selected. And now I can click OK to apply my changes. And what I should see is SharePoint retrieving that spreadsheet from the share library. If I click on Exit Edit Mode, I can see now my spreadsheet, and I can see the parameters here that I created before importing the spreadsheet, which means that I should be able to change here the PI tag that this spreadsheet is pointing to, and also the time range. So if I enter CDT 158, I can see that right now we are pointing to BA level 1. I'm going to pull CDT 158 with a time range for the last 36 hours. And let's see, oops, let me fix that, 36 hours. And if I apply that, I will see the new data being entered. Alright, and oops, let me fix that. I believe that the error was here on my time range. There, semicolon, minus 36 hours. Let's see if that fixes. Okay, perfect. So now I can see the data, and I can change the time range and the tag name. So that's very convenient, but I would like to have an easier way to do this, and the PI TreeView and time range will allow us to do so. So let's go back to Site Actions, and we are going to edit the page, and on the left column we are going to add a web part, and I'm going to find the PI time range on the list of PI WebParts. Here it is. And then I'm going to modify and configure this PI time range first, so that it looks a little bit better on a vertical orientation. And let me see here, filter value, I have time range, everything looks good, so I can go ahead and click OK. And now what I'm going to do is connect these two web parts by going to the PI time range and clicking on Edit go into connections, send filter data to my Excel web access part, and when I do that, I get this confirmation window. The Excel web access web part wants to know where to get the filter values from, and oops, there we go. We are getting the filter values from the PI time range, and they are going to go to the time range parameter that we created. So when I click OK, I can see that I will no longer have the option or the ability to change the time range, but here on the spreadsheet, but I will be able to do that through my PI time range web part. So let me go through this connection one more time, because it didn't work on the first time, and I think that what I missed was one of these steps in here. When I click on edit and establish the connection, I go to send filter data to the Excel web access. I want to select from the connection type the get filter values from, and I want to click on configure. And I think I skipped that step, and if I don't configure the connection and then select the parameter that I want to establish that connection with, it will simply not work. So now I think that I have a good connection. Let's go ahead and exit the edit mode and test the connection by simply changing the time range from the 2 days to the last 12 days, and we see the new data being retrieved. And if we go back, let's say to 24 hours and click apply, I can see the data being updated. Excellent. My time range web part has all of the features that I'm used to. I can refresh or revert back. I can scroll back and forward in time with these arrows, or I can select from a calendar a specific date that I want to select my data from. But let's go ahead and add and configure the PI3 View web part, which is my last web part that I want to add. I'm going to edit the page again, and on the left column I'm going to add a web part, which is going to be the PI3 View out of the PI section here, PI3 View. Click on add, and after the web part is added, I'm going to click on edit, modify the share web part, and I'm going to click on browse, and from the let me see here, okay, from the server drop down menu I want to make sure that I have the right server. In this case there is only one option, and then from the database menu I want to make sure that I have the right AF database, which is the database that we created, our Excel web access database, and I can see here the structure that I created with my plant and the 3 different units. And what I want to do is, under my plant I want to right click and select that as the root node, and under unit 1 I want to right click and select that as the default node, and I can see that the path was copied to the correct location. I click OK. Now let me go back in there. I did that too fast. I forgot, even though now we are connected to the correct AF database, I have here one more thing that I need to configure, and under the attribute parents I want to select here, I want to click on the select AF objects that contain attributes available for connection, and when I do that I can see that I have another window where I need to select again the right PI server and again the right AF database, and I can see here the elements that have attributes which can be used. So what I want to do is I want to expand these elements until I see the unit 1. We are going to select unit 1 and click OK. And from my filter values I'm going to select trend, and now I can click OK and connect these two web parts. The way I want to do that is I want to click on Edit for the PI TreeView, modify Share WebPart. Oops, that was a mistake. Click on Edit and go to Connections, and from Connections send the filter data to the Excel Web Access, and again ensuring that I configure this connection and that's going to go to the tag name. I click on Finish, and here we have it. I can now go ahead and exit the edit mode and test my WebPart page by simply browsing to the other units in the AF database, and I can see that the data is updated as I do that. So I can have the structure, the asset information for my plant in a very simple graphical way, browse through my different elements, immediately pulling PI data from the database in any time range that I desire. So a very simple demo that can prove to be very useful to expose your real-time data. So thanks for watching, and until next time.